Hi everyone, you're watching the Virtual Amicus and I am Jay Lodha. So today's topic for discussion would be on importance of institutional arbitration and mediation centers in the 21st century. And today we are joined by a very special amicus, a special speaker who needs absolutely no introduction in the field of international arbitration, in the field of international mediation, whose name is synonymous with all of these. So today we are joined by Mr. Tariq Khan, who is the registrar of the International Arbitration and Mediation Center at Hyderabad, and he was former partner at Advani and Company. He's also been Forbes' top individual lawyers for India in 2021, BW's youngest top 40 and under 40 lawyers of the year 2020. He's featured in Fortune 500 India, and the list goes on and on. And sir is a skilled in international domestic arbitrations, MSME disputes, writs, commercial, employment, insolvency, bankruptcy laws. Represented some of the biggest global players in various disputes, including construction, supply, joint venture, oil and gas, etc. and etc. He has experience in handling arbitration-related litigation like appointment of arbiters, injunctions, etc. And he's also frequently invited to speak in various law conferences and events by domestic bar associations, law schools, alternative dispute resolution centers, amongst other organizations. He's also been teaching arbitration as guest faculty for the past 7 years in some of the most prominent schools in India. And we've just been informed that this is Sir's first ever interview after he joined the esteemed offices as of that of a registrar at the International Arbitration and Mediation Center in Hyderabad, which had recently hit the headlines as it was officially inaugurated by the Honorable Chief Justice of India, Honorable Mr. Justice N.V. Ramanna, and the Chief Minister of Telangana, Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao, wherein the Honorable Chief Justice of India said, and I quote, that I am sure that the center will lead the way for arbitration and mediation in the country and will become the premier center, not only in India, but across Asia and the world. So, sir, what a great day this was. I'm sure this must have been for you. It was a historic day in the history of arbitration in our country, sir. And so thank you so much, sir, once again. And so today's format will be in a Q&A session. And anything that you wish to say, sir, before we start with our session?
Thank you very much for having me. And it's been long since I was interviewed by somebody, and I'm really happy to be interacting with. It's always a delight for me to interact with young students and friends of mine. So thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you so much, sir. And let's quickly start with our segment. So if you're ready, we'll quickly start with our Q&A session. So question number one, what do we mean by institutional arbitration mediation, sir? If you could explain that in a nutshell to all the viewers.
So basically, as you know, that arbitration, for instance, is of two kinds. One is ad hoc arbitration, and the other is institutional arbitration. Now, ad hoc arbitration is when parties take control and they do everything on their own. But the problem with ad hoc arbitration is that for every small little procedural issue, you have to go to the court for resolving the same, including appointment of arbitrators, challenge to the arbitrator, scrutiny of the award, and for various other things. For any other procedural issue that comes up, you just have to go to the court, which eventually delays the arbitration process and makes it cumbersome. Now, in a institutional arbitration, the good thing is there's a professional institution involved, which is rendering services for dispute resolution. And all the facilities are there. For example, transcription, translation, and there is a proper associate counsel or a case manager who's taking care of your case. And the center is going to act like a bridge between the arbitrator and the parties. All the communications are smooth, everything is properly recorded. So it's a very nice and professional way of conducting arbitration, thereby making it easier and convenient as a dispute resolution mode. Same for mediation. If there is a center involved which is rendering such services, then obviously the whole process becomes smooth. And depending on the quality of the mediators who are there on the panel of that particular center, so they ensure that the disputes actually get settled. And that's the whole idea of having a good center for resolving disputes in an institutional center.
Very well, sir. And Going ahead, moving forward to our next question. So, what are these governing laws or laws that govern institutional arbitration and mediation centers, and where are these centers located as far as India and other countries abroad are concerned?
So basically, these institutions have their own rules. And once parties agree to the rules of an institution, they are bound by it. Now, for instance, if in an arbitration clause or in a mediation, you are referring to the rules of IAMC, which is International Arbitration and Mediation Center, Hyderabad, then whatever rules have been framed by IAMC, that will be the Bible so far as that particular dispute is concerned. Now, procedural issues pertaining to the arbitration or mediation will then be governed under the aegis of that particular center, and the rules shall be applicable in true sense. Parties cannot later on say that this rule I do not like. So parties very carefully choose the rules of these centers. For instance, ICC may have its own rules, SIAC may have its own rules, IAMC has its own rules. So parties choose carefully which rules they want to go for, depending on what kind of flexibility that particular center provides and how it will help them in resolving their disputes in an expeditious and in a smooth manner. So that's the very purpose of these rules, to ensure that the arbitration process as a whole or mediation process becomes very, very smooth and convenient and party friendly, which will eventually save time and at the end of the day, resolve the disputes in a timely manner. That's the whole idea of having good rules of any center.
Very well, sir. And coming to our next question, sir, if you could explain your role in a nutshell as a registrar.
So basically, as a registrar of the center, it's like me becoming the center is being headed by me. I'm taking care of day-to-day operations of the center, ensuring that the rules are being implemented in its true sense, and all the arbitrations and mediations which are coming, whether domestic or international, I will have to supervise all those matters, and I will have to ensure that everything is being done as per the rules of the center. The other things that I have to do is, of course, to represent the center domestically as well as internationally, and on all platforms to grow and to develop the center, to promote it. So these are some day-to-day responsibilities which I will be now handling.
And so, prior to joining as a registrar at such a prestigious institution, you worked at a leading law firm in the field of arbitration. So, how were your experiences at Advani and Company? If you could share your journey or the lessons that you've learned over the years, as well as what exactly was your role like there?
Very interesting journey. I've always worked with Advani and Company. I never switched to any other law firm. I really enjoyed my time at Advani, and I think Advani and Company made me a better person, better professional, and I grew there. It actually was the first firm which actually made me acquainted to the field of arbitration, because under the tutelage of Mr. Hiru Advani, I was doing arbitrations day and night, both domestic as well as international arbitrations. So it was a very interesting journey. I was recently made a partner. So I was enjoying all these responsibilities. It was a very, very nice experience. And a full day there was never a boring day. There was always something exciting to do and too much to learn. I've done a lot of arbitrations, construction, disputes, oil and gas, regulatory matters, disputes pertaining to various things, damages, quantum, delay, everything. So I think that was a very interesting journey, and I did learn quite a lot. And I think that knowledge that I've acquired over a period of time, I will now be able to use it for a greater good in the center.
Great, sir. Now, going to our next question. So, what would be your piece of advice to all the young lawyers or young law students who wish to build a successful career in institutional arbitration and mediation? And as far as internships are concerned, any internship that you wish to recommend, or any literature or any particular book in the field of arbitration?
So far as book is concerned, I'm telling you, I don't think there are many books which I can recommend. There are very few books. But there is one book by Justice Indu Malhotra, which I think is quite good, but it's slightly, probably for a student, it might be slightly expensive. Therefore, I'm coming up with a book on my own, and I think it will be out soon. So maybe that would help students. The other thing that I would like to tell you is internship advice I've also given much earlier, prior to me joining IAMC. I think 3 months ago on LinkedIn, I had posted that law students must intern with centers that are doing arbitrations and mediation, because this way you will be acquainted with hundreds of cases in 1 month. In some case, maybe a cross examination is going on. In some cases, pleadings are being complete. In some case, matters being argued finally. So you will actually see different stages of arbitration and mediation in an arbitration and mediation center. So that's a very important advice that I'm giving you. If possible, you must do an internship with an arbitral or any mediation institute, which will be very, very useful to you. Last but not the least, I think you need to really believe in something. If you really are passionate about something, do it. If you are not passionate about something, do not do it. Just because you see others doing well in that particular profession, it shouldn't be that somebody is doing criminal law and you are fascinated, but you're not interested in criminal law. If you are into arbitration, do it. If you like it, it's the future. And I think students have a very, very vast scope in arbitration and mediation, because ADR is the future. Mediation, for instance, recently is gaining a lot of popularity. You see the mediation bill also, which is coming up. And I think mediation is going to be successful. And, it's going to make a mark. It will actually resolve disputes the way we really want it to. So basically, ADR is the future, the way I look at it. And the earlier we understand it's better, because I think those days are gone when only those lawyers who are practicing in courts are being considered as good lawyers. So if there is a struggle, if you don't have to unnecessarily struggle, there's no money, then you don't have to say all that. I think there's a bright future. Law is very diverse. You have many career options. So do not be afraid to take a plunge. Do not be afraid to make different choices, and make your choices independently and do what you really like to do. Do not just follow the crowd just because somebody is saying that only, we should go towards litigation only, or we should only go towards judiciary. I don't think that's the mindset you should have. Do what suits you and what works for you. That's the way I think you should think.
Now, sir, importance of having a mentor in this field, sir, and in your case, in your journey, who was your mentor, sir?
That's a very interesting question. I think it's very, very important to have a mentor in your life. So in my case, it was very difficult because I did not know how to speak English until my law school. Then I started reading judgments by Justice Krishna Iyer, and I think he was my mentor in true sense. But the sad part is that I never got to meet him. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that to make somebody your mentor, you don't have to know a person. It is not that you should make this as an excuse. Oh, I come from a family where there is no lawyer. I made somebody my mentor whom I have never even met and who doesn't perhaps even know who Tariq Khan is. But the idea is that there is so much of literature, so much of content on the internet. For instance, if you are interested in arbitration, merely by seeing my videos, a lot of students have said they have been able to understand arbitration inside out. So my suggestion to you is make anybody your mentor who you think can actually teach you. And if you know someone very well, take guidance from them, learn from their mistakes. But at the end of the day, we are all on our own and we are all going to take our own journey. So take your decisions for yourself, believe in yourself, and work for something, work hard, because there is no substitute for hard work.
Great, sir. And lastly, sir, future, or talking about future of institutional and international arbitration and mediation in India, what do you think are the hits and misses, and how has COVID affected the functioning of institutional as well as international arbitration mediation in our country?
So answering your second question first, COVID did impact a lot of arbitrations, a lot of mediations, and courts, of course, more than anything, because you remember everything was shut. We were not prepared for a pandemic. And it just so happened that we were not virtually equipped, the infrastructure wasn't there in place. But now what has happened is, I think arbitration, especially, and mediation, virtually these were being done in a very smooth manner. I personally had done during the first wave and the second wave quite a lot of arbitration matters, including cross-examination. And I think it was faster than earlier. We were able to finish arbitrations, not one, not two, more than 10, 15 arbitrations we were able to finish during the pandemic. So what I'm trying to say is that arbitration and mediation at the end of the day revolves around technology. And if everything is in the place, it's about flexibility. Virtual hearings were very, very useful in arbitrations and mediation. So I think any way, but yeah, especially in mediation, I think physical touch would require, there should be some physical presence of parties because it is easier to understand the body language and an arbitrator may be able to impact with his presence. But arbitration was extremely, extremely smooth. Now, so far as the future of arbitration and mediation is concerned, the institutional, sorry, not just arbitration and mediation. So I think institutional arbitration and institutional mediation is the future. That's what Justice Sri Krishna Committee also recommended. If you look at the 2019 amendments, the only problem with Indian arbitration scenario was that most of the arbitrations were ad hoc and mediations were not being conducted in a proper manner. They were not being taken seriously. Therefore, we were not able to see the rise of mediation in India, and arbitrations were being criticized. Now, if we start institutionalizing arbitration, which I think is the next step, and that's why I personally came to IAMC to, in fact, make a change and to make sure that really arbitration culture grows, mediation culture grows, and people start institutionalizing all of this to make it in a proper formal channel and to resolve disputes in a proper manner so that the image of the country improves internationally. That's the endeavor with which at least I have come here, and I'm going to give my best to make sure that it happens. And this is the dream, that India should become a hub of arbitration and mediation, and both of them should actually gain popularity as an ADR mechanism. And courts should actually be the last resort for the parties to go, because courts are overburdened. And at the end of the day, the idea is to get justice. So my feeling is that we are moving in the right direction, and the future is very, very bright, because like Mr. Falias Nariman said, the future of litigation is not bright. So I think institutional arbitration and mediation is here to stay.
So thank you so much there, sir. I hope we've covered more or less everything. And so before we wrap this up, anything that you wish to say before towards the end of our segment?
I just want to say thank you to all the viewers, and especially law students across the country who have always supported me and who have always, really encouraged me, because I think it's your support and because of your best wishes that I am able to take these decisions. And never be afraid to take decisions in life, and never be too comfortable in your skin. Idea is to make a difference at large. Don't just work or think about yourself. I think when you are looking at being a lawyer, a real lawyer is somebody who doesn't just care about himself, but is trying to make a difference in the society at large by rendering services to the society, to give back to the society by using the degree in the right sense. So whenever you are taking a decision in your career, never forget about the cause, that, it's not just a case, it's a cause that you are actually pursuing. So look at it from that perspective. That's all.
Wow, that really means a lot, your presence and your words of wisdom. So two key takeaways. Number one, never feel too comfortable in your skin, and two, never ever be afraid to take the leap, to take the plunge. So as beautifully summed up by sir on our channel. So thank you so much, sir. There once again to all the viewers who are watching, our email is mentioned on the channel. In case if you still have any queries with respect to any of the fundamentals or concepts pertaining to international arbitration or mediation centers, particularly the one in Hyderabad, feel free to write to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you on the same. So thank you so much, sir, once again. And it's goodbye for now.
Thank you. Thank you very much.